Good morning. We have another doona in front of us. Now, I've already taken a couple of still shots of this particular doona when it came in straight out of the basket, and then it's been pre-dampened with a little bit of starch. I must confess, this is one of the doonas that comes in probably the worst looking and the worst sounding because it is 100% linen. It is also, however, an Abode make. Where is the tag? Here it is. There we go. I hope you can see that. Abode. It's a super king size. It's a Belgian linen. It's woven in Italy and it's made in here in Melbourne, no less. However, it had been tumble dried, over dried as is often the case in some of these cases, and linen does tend to do that. It's a very thirsty fabric, so good pre-dampening and a good rest. This has actually been resting overnight so that it's really, really easy to iron. That's the very first trick that I have to some of these more difficult items. Now, I've already pre-dampened it. I've already done my half fold lengthwise. I have my fold on my ironing hand and away goes the left corner. Now, you've already seen some of this process in the previous opening session videos. This one's getting harder and harder as we're going along. So the first things first, let's line yourself up here. I've made sure that my iron is on the right temperature, somewhere between cotton and linen. Sometimes I may pop it up a little bit higher. Double check that your iron is fine and everything is working well. Make sure you've got plenty of water on hand. And off we go now. I'm going to be doing a brush away and kneading technique here as I'm doing that first stitch. Let me get that tag in underneath. Now that's been sewn in, so I just need to make sure that the tag is in the right place. And as I'm doing that, I'm brushing away and going in between the buttons. Give it a good stretch so that you have that corner and you have your 90-degree angle. And as we go and do our accordion move, you can see how well it's come through onto the other side. Working in smaller sections can be easier if you have a bit more of a difficult area. Challenging would be a better word probably. Now again, you don't have to do up every button. If this is too far over and you can't get through it to flatten it, just move it aside a little bit. Make sure you're not ironing in any crinkles. And then you've got a beautiful flat finish. Or easy to get a flat finish. And again, that brush away and a kneading technique. So I'm using the edge of my iron and twisting it back, so as if I was doing that with my hand, except I'm using my iron. Stretching that stitch. A little bit of a waft if you feel that it's dry with your hand. Many times what my left hand is doing is just that, feeling for the dampness and the stretch in the fabric. So again, that kneading technique with my wrists and stretching that out, you can see how much stretch there is in that fabric. That is going to give me a very, very beautiful, smooth, flat finish. Again, doing up not necessarily all the buttons, definitely the ones in between. Oh, right. Just make sure it's okay. And again, a little bit of a drag is going to make sure that all that underneath fabric is not in my way. And if I just go through this move one more time, I'm going to get a very beautiful finish, and it's going to come through pretty nicely onto the other side as well. A little bit of a drag. Again, stretch it out, pre-stretch if you want to call it that. Don't be afraid to sit on linen for a little while longer. Make sure it's nice and damp. You don't need as much steam as heat. Steam is not necessarily the best option. Pre-dampening makes it much, much easier and gives you a much neater finish, especially on fabrics like linens and cottons. And we'll do up the lot. Here we go. And again, a little bit of a pre-stretch. Brush away technique as I'm lifting and stretching here with my left hand. And every time my iron comes down, I stretch away. And hold it there for a little while. That press and stretch makes all the difference. Just finishing off here. You can always work it the other way, but I'm not that great with the other hand. Not on all of the corners, so perhaps coming from the other side. Okay, we have done our opening, and at this point we're about to fold it through so that we've got ourselves ready to go over onto the next step. So we want to join up the right side with the left side. My hand is on the inside. And this is why we do up the buttons, so that we don't lose all the good work we've just done. And there we are. Okay. The opening.